Hey, this is Doug with B&H, and today we're talking about Sony's latest, highly anticipated digital cinema camera, the PXW FX6. The FX6 is a compact and yes, full-frame 4K cinema camera that sits perfectly in between the FX9 and the A7S III, borrowing tech from both of them. It's been built and designed for filmmakers who demand light and mobile tools that don't sacrifice image quality or control, making it incredibly versatile. The compact size and weight make it a great fit for any type of gimbal or drone work, while the new recording capabilities and dynamic range make it a more than capable cinema camera for documentary work, narrative productions, and will be a worthy upgrade for cinema creators. So let's start with image quality. This is a 10.2 megapixel backside illuminated full frame 4K XMOR image sensor, providing stunning cinematic picture quality. Given the similar name, it's probably no surprise that it even matches the FX9's 15 stops of dynamic range when shooting in the Cine EI mode in S-Log3. It also includes the gorgeous S-Cinetone color profile, which was first introduced in the FX9 and has been very well received. This look is based on the image found in the Sony Venice Cinema camera, offering film-like color and pleasing skin tone rendering straight out of the camera. No color grading needed, saving you time and money. The S-Cinetone profile is designed to have high contrast tone in the low luminance levels of the image and a lower contrast tone in the high luminance levels. This means, of course, that you'll get a natural and cinematic highlight roll-off. But if you want more creative control over your images, of course you have that option as well. Set your gamma to S-Log3 and your color space to S-Gamut3 Cine for the most flexibility in post-production. Now on that note, there are two sensitivity modes on the FX6 depending on the capture mode you use. In Cine EI, you can select a base sensitivity of ISO 800 for your typical shooting environments, but if you find yourself in a lower lighting situation, then you can select what Sony calls enhanced sensitivity mode, which has a base ISO of 12,800. This is designed to achieve a similar signal-to-noise ratio as the FX9's dual ISO functionality, and will help when you expose in dimly lit environments. The vast difference between these two base sensitivities does mean you'll have to consider aperture and ND filtration options for your shoots a little more carefully. But luckily, the FX6 has just the thing to bridge the gap. The FX6 includes the exceptional electronic variable ND filter function. This gives you the ability to adjust your ND manually in smooth increments from 1/4 ND to 1/128th ND for superb creative control, or you can set it to auto ND, where the camera will provide you with seamless exposure control of your shot without disturbing your depth of field because the aperture is not adjusted. This kind of feature is perfect for moving shots where the camera is going from indoors to outdoors or vice versa. The auto ND will handle those neutral density adjustments for you. So when it comes to recording options, the FX6 has an abundance of them, ranging from full HD to DCI 4K, and features a maximum bitrate of 600 megabits per second when shooting in the highest DCI 4K 60p. There are some improved codec options on board. For example, for the first time in a compact full-frame Pro camcorder, you can capture the premium UHD 4K XAVC-I, that's Intra, at 422 10-bit color. For those looking for extra space or need to deliver more rapidly, traditional XAVC long GOP 420 8-bit is also available. High frame rate modes are also available, with the top resolution DCI 4K reaching 60 FPS. Drop down only a little to UHD and you hit 120 FPS, and 1080p goes up to 240 FPS. However, there is a slight sensor crop when shooting in some of the high frame rate modes. DCI 4K 60p comes with a 5% sensor crop. UHD 120 FPS has a 10% sensor crop, while Full HD or 1080p at 240 FPS has no sensor crop. Now look, don't sleep on the 120 FPS UHD either. This is something that the FX9 can't even do. It's not significantly smaller than a DCI frame, so it is easier to cut together than if you drop the resolution down to 1080p, making it a perfect shooting mode for, let's say, fast action sports and wildlife. And yes, believe it or not, it all works with that legendary Sony autofocus. On that note, let's break the autofocus down. The FX6 has 673 phase detection AF points covering 89% of the sensor. There's a face detection mode and a new real-time IAF system as well. As I just mentioned, both of these systems will work even when recording high frame rates of 120 or 240 FPS, so you can effortlessly track moving subjects within your frame. Sony has said that it will be compatible with over 50 of their native E Mount lenses, and it worked seamlessly with the lens we had on set today. Just like the FX9, you do have precise control over the autofocus speed and position. There are 7 transition speeds and 5 different speeds for responsiveness that you can play with until you get a combination that is just right for your shooting situation. The FX6 will recognize more than one face at a time, and you can select which face you want to focus on. An orange cursor will appear below the box that the camera is locked onto, and you can then switch between faces using the thumbstick on the handle grip. If you want to lock onto a single face, press the select button on the preferred face, and you will get a double box, and the FX6 will register that face, recognizing and prioritizing it. The new processing engine is at the heart of the FX6 and provides much faster performance, 4 times faster in fact, when compared to the FS5 Mark II. Speaking of, the FX6 is actually smaller than the FS5, measuring only 4.6 inches high, 6 inches long, and weighs just about the same as the FS5 at 1.96 pounds. It's made from a magnesium alloy chassis, and even though it is small, the FX6 uses efficient heat dispersion for extended recording times. Now, from the front, you'll see the E Mount, which has been a staple of Sony's still and cinema cameras for years now. But going over to the left side, the FX6 borrows one of the A7S III's most intriguing features, dual function card slots. The FX6 features 2 card slots that can take either CF Express Type A or UHS-2/UHS-1 SDXC cards respectively. Now, do be aware that if you need to shoot at higher frame rates, then you will be required to use a CF Express Type A card no matter what. The 3.5-inch LCD screen is a 1280 by 720 screen that can be attached in a variety of locations around the camera body. This LCD has a quick access control menu for commonly accessed features. Codec image scan mode, picture size, frequency, and much more can be adjusted with just a single touch. To access the full menu, hold down the menu button for about a second. The LCD, top handle, and smart grip can easily be reconfigured to make shooting more comfortable depending on your style. And customization doesn't stop there. The FX6 features 10 signable buttons located all over the camera, so you can customize functionality to your liking. First thing we did was assign button 7 to that essential focus assist function, peaking, because the ability to turn that on and off quickly is critical for a number of shots. For an idea of battery life, the BPU35 gave us 120 minutes on a 2 to 3 hour charge, while the BPU90 is said to last around 360 minutes on a full charge. There is of course also DC power input on the back of the camera, so if you are in a locked off studio situation, you can power it indefinitely. The FX6 will record up to 4 channels of audio as a result of a combination of multiple input options. There are 2 built-in XLR inputs as well as a multi-interface shoe input that can take an additional accessory such as the XLR K3M, which would give 2 additional channels. There's also the built-in stereo mic on the top handle that gives you 2 channels, but if you detach the top handle for any gimbal or drone work, don't worry, there's still a built-in binaural mic on the camera body that can work as your scratch mic for any kind of syncing that you need to do later. Even though this camera was designed for the mobile filmmaker in mind, that doesn't mean it can't function as a studio camera. It has all the professional connectivity you would expect from a pro-level camera, including SDI output with a selectable range of 12G, 6G, and 3G SDI. In fact, you can actually output a 16-bit raw output via SDI to an external recorder. On top of that, you also get an HDMI output, as well as timecode in and out for syncing purposes. There's also a built-in Wi-Fi module for streaming and the sharing and sending of clips. Just like the FX9, the FX6 can take metadata from the rotating gyro sensor inside the camera and apply that to a recorded clip in your thumbnail playback. You can then flag certain clips in the thumbnail mode, flagging them as okay, no good, or keep. This metadata will then be mirrored in Sony's own Catalyst Browse software, so you can quickly select the clips that you want to make adjustments to. Using the software, you're allowed to freely adjust shade compensation and trimming area size, saving you processing time when compared to stabilizing with your own nonlinear editor. Of course, optical stabilization is also supported if the lens features Sony Steady Shot compatibility, and it can be activated in the FX6 camera menu system. If your lens has a switch for it, like ours does here, don't forget to enable it on the lens itself. While we're on the lens, for those who want to get shooting with the FX6 right away, Sony will be offering a kit that includes the FX6 body along with the 24 to 105mm f4G zoom lens, which is perfect for all-around types of shooting. We have it here. In fact, this is the only lens we use the entire time. So I think it's fair to say that the requirements for any great compact digital cinema camera have always been great image quality, fast performance, mission-critical battery life, and of course, compact size for mobility and handling. The FX6 meets all of these requirements and then some. Between the premium 4K image quality, S-Cinetone color profile, the multitude of high frame rate options, fast and reliable autofocus, along with pro audio inputs and connectivity, the FX6 is a well-rounded compact cinema camera that would make a great upgrade for any cinema shooter. What is your favorite feature of the FX6? Will you be adding this to your camera kit? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Doug with B&H, and thanks for watching.